home is the place to find happiness. And if you don't find happiness in your home, you're going to be hard-pressed to find it anywhere else. Hello everyone, thank you so much for joining me here today. If you're new, I'm Amanda. Welcome to the channel where we are all about shattering the mental health stigma. If you haven't already, it is Mental Health Awareness Month. Help us reach our goal of 50,000 subscribers by making sweet, sweet love to that subscribe button and giving the bell a few kisses so you're not missing any of this content designed to help you with your mental health or help you help someone else. Everyone deserves a sanctuary, someplace that they can recharge from the challenges of the world. And this is even more true for someone who's prone to symptoms of anxiety and depression. It's imperative that you have a safe place to land when things get overwhelming, even if that's just a room of your own if you're still living at home. A healthy interior environment doesn't occur to most people to be correlated to mental health because there's so many other factors that preoccupy us. But it only makes sense that the vibe of the place that we spend the most time is going to affect our own vibe, for better or for worse. A good rule of thumb for the factors that lead to depression is with the two-hit hypothesis. It suggests that people become depressed when the effects of their genetic composition, which itself puts them somewhere on a scale of low to high likelihood of eventually developing depression, combine with stressful life experiences. Believe it or not, a messy, chaotic, unruly house is one of those stressful life experiences. To be clear, an unhealthy interior environment is one that we ultimately don't feel good spending time in. And this can be for a plethora of reasons, from the smell to an unaesthetically appealing color to poor lighting to countless other factors. Today, I want to touch on 5 things that could be contributing to your symptoms of anxiety and depression without you even knowing it. Number 1 is listening to Martha Stewart instead of yourself. Whether it's Pinterest or home magazines or this desire to keep up with the Joneses, our homes are influenced by so many things that have absolutely nothing to do with our own comforts or preferences or the things that we are interested in or enjoy. It's important that the interior design of our home is human and individual instead of being exclusive and trend-based. We keep things because we feel obligated to. We buy things because we feel coerced to, and before we know it, our space is no longer a reflection of us. Incorporate pieces, whether knickknacks, books, or artwork, that express your unique tastes. I personally have a mask collection from my favorite video game, The Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask. I also have a complete set of the Harry Potter books in French because I have a passion for the series and the language. And I have various crafts that my son made that make me feel happy and bonded to him, for example. Speaking of art, studies done by neurobiologists at the University College London recently discovered that viewing art can boost the feel-good neurotransmitter dopamine and give you a similar euphoria to falling in love. Patients in hospital rooms with artwork experienced less pain, fewer complications, and healed more quickly than those in rooms without it. It doesn't have to be specific art, and it doesn't have to be expensive art. It can be a painting of your favorite anime character, or a charcoal drawing of Walter White and his tidy whities. You do you, the benefits are still the same. Number 2 is natural light and suitable temperature. Now, insomnia can be a symptom of depression or a problem all of its own that triggers depression. There are 2 major factors in your environment that you have control over that really impact the body's natural circadian rhythm. That is our natural sleep cycle, and that's temperature and light. As your body cools, the pineal gland in your brain releases the hormone melatonin. That in turn nudges your body temperature to drop. Melatonin helps manage sleep, and its release preps you for slumber. And if the temperature of your room is above 70 degrees, it can work against your body's natural clock and make it difficult to fall asleep and/or stay asleep. Light also has a massive impact on the body's circadian rhythm because when light enters the eye, it's sensed by a group of cells on the retina, and that information is sent to the brain to indicate information about what time of day it is. The brain then sends signals through the body and other organs in accordance to what time of day it is. When exposed to only natural light, a person's circadian rhythm becomes closely synchronized with sunrise and sunset, staying awake during the day and sleeping when it's dark. In modern society, though, electricity creates an abundance of light sources that affect the brain's circadian pacemaker. Excess or poorly timed artificial light exposure can cause a person's circadian rhythm to be misaligned with the day-night schedule. Blue light glasses or filters on our devices, making sure that you're sleeping in a dark room, cutting off screen time at least an hour before bed, and keeping electronics out of the bedroom entirely can help keep our internal clocks synchronized. Well-timed natural light, however, heightens the brain's production of the mood-enhancing chemical serotonin. In the rest of your home, go for sheer curtains instead of heavy draperies. If you have a room that has no windows, you can either build a false window from scratch or with the help of a kit. This can be backlit, it can have a scene behind it. There's so many options to make this reflect your personality. Mirrors also expand the feeling of light and space, especially if two or more mirrors face each other. And if you're in an area that has fewer daylight hours, make sure that you incorporate sun lamps so that you can manage potential symptoms of seasonal affective disorder. Number 3 is a designated fitness space. Now, exercise has been proven to massively improve symptoms of anxiety, but not everyone has the time or the resources or the desire to sign up at a gym and do countless reps. Not everyone has the space, time, or desire to build a full-blown home gym either. Most people, however, have space for a yoga mat where they can do exercises in their own time, and the way you decorate the area it's in can be incredibly helpful for personal motivation. You want to strike that balance of energizing and motivating while also being spa-like and inspirational. Again, natural light is incredibly important for personal motivation. Orient your space toward a window with an inspiring view or a picture that lifts you up. Don't hide it away in a spare bedroom or a basement or an area you never use, because that makes it really easy to ignore. Instead, make it a space that you like to look at. Find ways to create ambient lighting on the walls, or use overhead fixtures that aren't going to blind you every time you're in cobra pose or doing reverse crunches. Loving how this area looks doesn't only increase your workout energy, but it increases the frequency of your workouts. Number 4 is managing air quality. Breathing and lounging around the house are so natural to us that we don't really give it much thought anymore at this point. But what if I told you that these two things can have a massive impact on your mental health? A study from 2017 looked at the association between air pollution and anxiety and depression in older adults, and scientists found that an increase in ambient fine particulate matter was significantly associated with both anxiety and depression symptoms. The researchers think that air pollution may weaken the body's ability to fend off disease and affect how cells function, which in turn can lead to anxiety. Air pollution may also worsen other health problems. A 2019 study published by King's College London in the journal JAMA Psychiatry looked at whether psychotic experiences are more common among teens exposed to higher levels of air pollution. Psychotic experiences, meaning experiencing things like hearing or seeing things other people don't, or feeling very paranoid, were significantly more common among teens in the highest quartile of pollution exposure, even after the researchers accounted for factors that might be linked to psychosis, such as cigarette smoking, cannabis dependence, and neighborhood crime levels. Fortunately, there are several steps that you can take to improve the air quality of your home. Number 1 is investing in an air purifier. Number 2 is making sure that you aren't using household cleaners that have harmful chemicals. Number 3 is vacuuming your furniture and rugs frequently, preferably with a vacuum that has a HEPA filter to get rid of any dander or pet hair or things like that. Next, make sure that you seal your air ducts, and finally, make sure that you are regularly changing your air filters. Number 5 is being conscious about clutter and crowding. Humans feel uncomfortable in crowded environments, and there's science as to why. Clutter really bombards our brains with stimuli, and we end up being overloaded with unnecessary things. This triggers the release of the stress hormone cortisol, which can increase tension and anxiety. A chronically cluttered home environment can lead to a constant low-grade fight-or-flight response, taxing our resources designed for survival. Clutter may seem harmless enough, but research shows that clutter and disorganization actually has a cumulative effect on our brains. Our brains like order, and constant visual reminders of disorganization drains our cognitive resources and makes it much more difficult to focus. The visual distraction of clutter increases cognitive overload. Because of this, clutter can affect our sleep, our ability to focus, and even our relationships with others. A 2016 US study, for instance, found background clutter resulted in participants being less able to correctly interpret the emotional expressions in the faces of characters in a movie. It can also make us less productive, which triggers coping and avoidance behaviors that make us more likely to snack on junk and mindlessly watch TV, including, ironically, shows about other people decluttering. Disorganized and messy environments led participants in another study to eat more snacks, eating twice as many cookies than participants in an organized kitchen environment. Multiple studies, in fact, have found a link between clutter and poor eating choices, and people with extremely cluttered homes are 77% more likely to be overweight. And surprisingly, it doesn't go away when we go to bed. People who have clutter in their bedrooms find it harder to fall asleep and have a harder time staying asleep. Though it might seem daunting at first, and you might dread the idea, decluttering and cleaning is very therapeutic. It gives you a sense of accomplishment, and it gets in some physical activity. Organizing your personal space to suit your needs is an act of respect towards your own well-being and an act of self-love. However, I understand that a clean house takes time and energy to get in order, and I know that that's something that can be a real challenge for people that are struggling with their mental health. So if you would like a video on decluttering when you are struggling with symptoms of depression, please let me know. I would be happy to make that video. In the meantime, you can sign up for my free 5-day happiness boost challenge, because one of those days is cutting the crap, and it's going to give you tips and little mini challenges to moving in the right direction toward decluttering. There are so many factors that can affect our mental health, and it can seem very overwhelming, but remember, every change you make, every good habit you implement is moving you in the right direction toward that optimal mental health. Instead of being overwhelmed, let this idea of all this variety be a reminder to you that you have so much more power than you believed to have a positive influence on your mental health. Guys, if you enjoyed this, please let me know. I'd be happy to make more content like this. Give this video a thumbs up. Make sure to share it. You never know who might need this inspiration, who might need to know this information so they can move closer toward their optimal mental health. Like I said, make sweet, sweet love to that subscribe button, and I love you guys so much. Mwah.